Alright everyone, this is Lions. Now, as currently know, the Mpl Mena's regular season just wrapped up, and yes, we are done and dusted with regular season. So I felt it appropriate to just make a little tier list on where the teams are at right now, and the team that most likely will be representing MENA, well, the Middle East and Africa, at the coming M7. So yeah, this is my tier list, and these are the 8 teams that you can all see right here. So we'll get down into it right away. Now the way I'm going to be ranking them is I'm going to be doing it in a way from bottom to top, something like that. But no, fine, no, I'll change my mind. I'll make it from top to bottom, but I'm going to start off with the lowest team first for those references reasons. And unsurprisingly, that team will be ROH Esports. Now, when you hear the name ROH Esports, if you follow the Mpl Mena scene, they are always the team that at least finishes top 4, top 5. They have not really made it to an international event before, but knowing them, they normally go as far as semis, lower bracket semi-finals. That kind of thing. But this year, man, I don't know. Well, it was a different roster entirely, and as you can tell, it's really sad. Honestly, they did not win a single game. Forget about the matches now. They did win a single game. It was a new roster, a relatively new roster, but then they had Eugene. Now, Eugene at the end of the day didn't even participate, and it was quite sad, but I expected more. I mean, there's always going to be, hashtag eating in every league. That is normal, but the way they played, man, it was really saddening. I mean, for one thing, Mpl Mena this season is beginning to have a lot more Africans participating in it. The EX.PROJECT Jen, I know Jen to a reasonable extent. He just played in the IESF African qualifiers with the team Tunisia, and yeah, they defeated my country Nigeria, unsurprisingly. Well, surprisingly actually, but they are always ping issues and stuff. I don't want to go too deep into that, but that aside, I know Jen, he played in the AEC last 2 years. They got third, Tunisia finished third, so when I saw him in the lineup, I was like, he's finally going pro, and I expected better. But up against the team that's up against, this is the MPO, it's not the same as the AEC. But then again, the way they were clapped by mid-tier teams, I would say, was sad. So yes, they are on a league of their own. They are in the 8th tier. I don't think that any team should join them, but nope, they will be alone. They will be in a tier of their own. Now we'll move on straight. So we'll start from the top to bottom, starting with, of course, S tier. And straight off the bat, I'm going to put Falcons. Now, for anybody that knows the Falcon roster, okay, the Falcons roster, that's what I'm going to best say. You know that these guys are definitely the best we have to offer. When your bad season is finishing second, you know you are the best. Okay, last season they had an off season, and their off season was that they literally finished second. That was their bad season. Last year they were the Twisted Man roster, and they went all the way. So Falcons then having an informed Alpha and Kenji were also really informed, but this lineup with Sanji, Coffin, Sanu and Troll alongside Tarzan have always been, the Saudi Arabia national team. They've always been the best as far as MPL is concerned. And then they now mixing a Zoda now and then. But this year, they added Boyet. Now, I'll say that, as being the jungler is the core of the team. I don't think he fitted quite well. I mean, they did pretty well, winning all their games. But when he came back to play the Ultra Legend roster, they didn't do quite well last season, but this season they seem to have clicked, playing the now ultra legend roster, which is now X.PROJECT Mena, and they defeated them. They defeated them 2-1, and they basically only dropped 2 games in the entire regular season. So they are definite S rank and straight up the best team right now going into playoffs. Okay, that can't be argued. I feel personally that Boyet has finally found his form. Being a Filipino import, it made sense because you can tell that he's definitely more skilled than Hoda. Hard to admit, but he is more skilled than Hoda. As you know, Tustedman did finish 3rd place last season, so they have the skill, and Boyet has been phenomenal in his jungle picks throughout this season. That's why he is currently the best player in the league. The next team, unsurprisingly, and they will be joining Falcons in AS tier, will be of course X.PROJECT Mena. Now, X.PROJECT Mena has a mixture of the lineup of ultra legends, though Dark Blood and Phil didn't play this season so far, but come on, they complemented them with the likes of Alpha and of course Speedy, one of my best players I've ever known. I saw him in the AAC. First time I saw him after his ROE esports, after he's won with Mpl Mena season 6, sorry, season 5 actually, with ROE esports. Then I saw him in the Egyptian national team. I've always been a fan of the Egyptian national team because of how strong they are and what they do, what they are always continue able to achieve. So this is basically just, I'm not sure, maybe I've not seen the full roster for the IESF lineup for Egypt, but this should most likely be them. X.PROJECT Mena with Alpha, Trueboy, Kwanok, Speedy, and of course Rice Cream. They are Wuma, very fresh guy, I must add. They are looking really strong. They defeated everybody else except for Falcons. They lose to them in the opening week 1. They lost to them 2-1, so that was it was fair enough. And when they lost, I now realized that maybe Falcons really was the strongest team. They beat everybody else, but here and there they dropped some games, some questionable games that you wouldn't expect them to drop, but overall they had, they beat everybody that they needed to beat. But some games that they dropped now, like they dropped a game against GS team, and they also dropped a game against GEEKAY ESPORTS. Did they drop a game against GEEKAY? I don't really remember right now. I'm trying to remember, but they dropped a game against Twisted Minds too. I expected them to take that series clean, but now and then it can happen that it happens. Yeah. Now the next team. Okay, wait first. Pause. Alright, sorry, I just did a check and they didn't drop a game against GEEKAY. They actually swept GEEKAY. The only team that they dropped against was what's their name? Yeah, they only dropped 4 games, and that was of course against GSM, against GS team, and GEEKAY, and of course Falcons. So yeah, they are up there with Falcons, and these are actually the top 2 teams as far as the clubs concerned. This is one that the ranking actually does justice. Now the next team, which is going to be the A tier team, and there's only going to be one team here, I'm going to put Twisted Minds. I think that their quality shows. This is of course the Twisted Mind level also that we all know and love. Of course, having Hoda, one of the best junglers in all of Mena. He played really well, but this season I think the standouts are actually Smile and Maki. Now listen, Smile has been phenomenal throughout the season. The way he has been using those mages, defeating everybody else. But when it came down to facing Falcons, they fell with little resistance. So it's not surprising, I will add, but like, you know, Zoda did his best, trying his best, but when they're up against the top teams, like they played X.PROJECT Mena and they still lost, seeing the X.PROJECT Mena are the second ranked team. So I'll say that everybody below them, they are significantly stronger, but there is a clear gap between them and the top two teams, as you can see. And this is the part where I go to the revelation. That's why I waited until the playoff rounds were actually done, the play-ins. And yeah, the next team, of course, I'll put that in being B tier, and the top team in B tier will be, of course, Team Occupy. They have always had a weird season. I think the only time they won the MPL was, of course, when it was the OG Egyptian national team lineup with Afro, Kenji, Speedy, Smile. You know, that Team Occupy team. That was when they won the MPL. Ever since then, they have just been more like a get-together kind of club. But this season, they were, you know, with the roster changing that they had, adding Shen to that roster, I felt that was really, really good. And of course, Howard was still there with 7-up. But Venox really showed out this season. I think for MVP so far, and of course, he showed out in just division match. They swept GEEKAY ESPORTS. I did not see that coming. Okay, I thought that I wanted them to win, but I felt GEEKAY were the favorites going into that matchup, but they swept them, showing that the regular season and the playoffs will have a different dynamic altogether. Unfortunately, they are going to clean Falcons in the next round, but I feel if they can, you know, it's double elimination battle, so if they can get, you know, a good showing in Falcons, then whoever they play in that lower bracket elimination match, most likely they should finish third. If I'm being completely honest, I hope that they can defeat you. Man, is basically what I'm trying to say. But yes, they are the top team for me in B tier. 7-up and Howard have been playing amazingly, but Venus for me, Venus has really showed why he is a top team. He might make the Egyptian roster. We don't know. But Shen, you know, Shen is the Shen that we all know. He's always been playing so well. He's one of the OG rumors of the Mpl Mena, so it's not a surprise to see him always perform well. And I feel that he really performed well against GEEKAY ESPORTS. Now, the next team I will put, of course, will be GEEKAY. GEEKAY ESPORTS are, you know, they are a roster with a lot of team members: Hawk, Eisen, Joki, and Maro. The person I don't really know, I won't lie, is Bala. Oh my god, sorry, these IGNs are really so hard to pronounce sometimes. Laika, I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they had a fair showing. Eisen for me will be that standout player, but of course Joki, you can never underestimate Joki. They pretty much did what was expected of them when they played the likes of Twisted Minds and you know, Falcons. They, you know, fell in those matchups, but they put up good fights. All the matches actually went really close against the top 3 teams. That's why I felt going to the playoffs, going to the play-ins, they were the favorites. But you know, they were made by an Occupy team that was ready for them. I think Occupy really did their assignment. But aside from that, now that even though they are out of the competition already, sadly, they put up really good fights. That's why they deserve to be in B tier, and of course, second tier team. They were able to sweep a lot of teams, but they were swept eventually by the likes of X.PROJECT Mena and of course Falcons. No, actually, no, they were the team that took a game for Falcons, if I remember correctly. Yes. But in the end of the day, when they play Team Occupy in the regular season, because you know, it's always regular season, it's not really the time you play these teams, you might not take it very seriously. That's a fact. Okay, but playoffs is completely different. They played Team Occupy. That was the 2-1 in the March series, and I have to say they were the better team. Okay, they were the better team overall, but I don't know. That's why it's playoffs now. Team Occupy stripping them was really bad. I expected a lot more. I wanted Team Occupy to win, but I didn't think that they were going to win so, handily. And the Q scores were also not so great. So yeah, I think they deserve to be here at the very least, because I feel that there's a significant quality gap between this guy, between hashtag 6 and the rest of the teams. So GEEKAY in the B tier. Now we move on to the C tier, and in this tier we have 3 teams. Sorry, we have 2 teams. So yeah, 2 teams, and that's, of course, I'm going to put them. They are going to be X.PROJECT and GS team. Now, X.PROJECT is filling in the slot of what's the name? Ultra Legends, the Egyptian qualifiers. They were the ones entering in, and of course you should know them. They are obviously the Moroccan national team with some extra imports. Super Rival, Ayato, and Nasties. I know these guys very well because we know Alpha Zeros from Nigeria played them as the team Nigerian. Then it was a good game, but eventually their quality showed. So I know how good they are, and they have experience playing in the IESF. They played the Philippines and they played the national team of USA. So these guys have experience internationally, and I'm glad that they finally are playing Mpl so that they can really have the feel of the professional league. I didn't expect so much from them, but I knew that they were going to compete, and they did just that. Super Rival and Ayato, of course, have always been the stellar players, but most especially Ayato. That guy is really a top tier gold winner for his standard. He's okay for now, and I'm really looking forward to how his future is going to be like. Right now, they are out of the tournament. We're surprised because they were playing a Twisted Minds team that has wealth of experience. I don't think when you can compare Super Rival to Huda when you talk about something, because that guy literally was ranked 9th in the last series, okay, where him and the team Twisted Mind will have a Twisted Mind roster of that season. But yeah, I like this. They had a good showing. Snars really did well, and of course Orange Bob did well. Thor eventually left the tournament. I don't know really why that happened. I'm not really looking to it, but all in the same, they did okay for their expectations. I don't think they outdid their expectations, but they also did not underplay them. Everybody expected them to at least compete, and they finished 6th, just narrowly making it into the playoffs. Losing 11 games is okay. I think they defeated GS 2-1. The games were quite close, but close enough. But then again, they were swept by GEEKAY and so on and so forth. Team Occupy, when they played Team Occupy, I think that they put up a good match, but yeah, it wasn't really that. They did well enough. But when you know that when you're going up against the likes of Occupy, Falcons, and Mpl Mena, it's not really going to end really well. But they tried in every other matchup they played, making the Q score close enough. However, when they played Twisted Minds, it was anything but close. Twisted Minds really showed their quality, and I feel that whoever we already know who they are going to play, I'm really looking forward to that match of Twisted Minds versus Mpl Mena. That's going to be really interesting. That being said, yeah, X.PROJECT ESPORTS, they did well enough to prove that they can compete. Then we now go to GS. GS is for me the team in this tier, and I feel that they deserve it so far. They just narrowly missed playoffs. with as far as points are concerned, though that they had an extra -2 compared to X.PROJECT, seeing that they actually lost to X.PROJECT, showing that they still have no way to go. But as far as it's concerned, I think that these guys will mostly here just gain experience. Same with X.PROJECT, and the experience they have gained. I personally am really happy with the African representation that is going on now in Mpl Mena. The likes of K from Somalia. When I saw him, I've never seen him for my life. Okay, I won't lie, I've never seen him for my life. So when I saw this guy, I was like, yo, K, who's K? And then I see his play. He was okay, but when they played ROE Esports, I think that's where he showed, but not much to take from there. You see that ROE Esports are the lowest ranked team in this Mpl Mena season. So yeah, K played pretty well, but I think Starkey. So that is Starkey. I missed what's his name again? He's from the Arab Emirates. Yeah, Starry Eyes. Yes, Starry Eyes played really well. So that was okay for them, but their only win was against ROE Esports. So yes, they could not defeat X Mena, and when they played every other team, yeah, they were swept. However, I will say that one worthy thing for them is that they were able to take a game from X Mena. They took a game from X Mena, so that in itself was really nice. I think that was okay for them, so they won a good amount of games for themselves too. But apart from that, man, they were swept by every other team. So that's pretty much it. So this is the tier. This is the tier. I hope that it comes out on top. For my predictions to win the entire thing, I'm going to say, okay, fine. As a fanboy, I'm going to say Team Occupy. But realistically speaking, I'm going to say X Mena. X Mena, I think that they have it in the back to actually win this thing. It was the opening tournament against Falcons. So that upper bracket finals, whoever wins that will win Mpl Mena. That's basically what I'm going to say. I feel that then that being said, I'm also confident that whoever enters the wildcards for Mpl Mena this season will at least make it to the grand finals of the wildcards. I feel that the quality that is blooming from Mpl Mena this season is really, really high. The fact that, you know, X Mena, FALCONS, Twisted Minds are showing this crowd quality, and Occupy is ready to really challenge them, because they have to make sure that they show that quality against Occupy. Otherwise, I don't think that they will be able to win any team outside of Mena. But yes, the Mpl Mena season is really, really fun to watch this season. And I'm also glad that they are adding a lot of filmmakers into the Mpl Mena season. I digress too, but still, seeing names in the caster decks was really, really nice to see. She casted the X.PROJECT opening game and so on and so forth. So that's it. So yeah, this is the roundup. For S tier, we have FALCONS and X Mena. For A tier, we only have Twisted Minds. For C tier, we have Team Occupy and GEEKAY. For D tier, we have X.PROJECT, GS team, and for E tier, we have our esports. These are the teams of the regular season, and we're so far right now only the top 4 left. So I'm expecting you guys to tune into those playoffs. It's going to be epic. It's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to them. And hopefully, Team Occupy comes out on top this time. It has been really long that I've seen that team really strive. I'm a fan of them, and I hope that this time they go as far. Led by Shane, I'm sure Shane will really show forth what he can do. Alright guys, that's it for me. Take care. God bless.